Kindle the Lawn Man. Kindle the Lawn Man. In Grand Rapids. Kindle, what's up? Kindle, what's up?
How you doing?
Dude does a good intro right there. You see, he got my attention right there. Kindle the Lawn Man in Grand Rapids.
Green, sick, weed free.
Bro, we got to get you out of Grand Rapids. Kindle the Lawn Man. Kindle the Lawn Man. Kindle the Lawn Man. In Grand Rapids.
Sick.
Kindle, what's up? Kindle, what's up?
How you doing?
Dude does a good intro right there. You see, he got my attention right there. Kindle the Lawn Man in Grand
Green,
Rapids.
sick, weed free.
Bro, we got to get you out of Grand Rapids. Kindle the Lawn Man. Kindle the Lawn Man. Kindle the Lawn Man. In Grand
Green,
Rapids.
sick.
Kindle, what's up? Kindle, what's up?
Welcome.
Dude
Welcome. Today we have my friend Ben with Best Lawn Care. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for tuning in. And this is Lawnbot Live. So every Friday we come to you and we bring you our customers, awesome vendors who are doing awesome things in the space, people making waves in the green industry. We want to bring those interesting folks to you. And it just so happens with Lawnbot, we have a lot of awesome customers who, number one, they're ambitious. They want to grow their business, and they've already built a successful company. So we're in a very unique position to bring people that have the knowledge to the people that want more knowledge and to continue learning. And I think we can all learn something from other people. So today on the show, we got Ben with Best Lawn Care. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, well, so we initially met on Facebook, funny enough, right? When you look at how people get connected these days, we initially met on Facebook, and that was back in one of the groups on there.
Yeah, probably about a year and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah, the Professional Lawn Care Applicators group. So it's amazing that, and that's an awesome group, by the way. Shout out Jim Beveridge. Thanks for starting that group. He's actually going to be coming on the show in November. He's a little bit busy with aeration and overseed season right now, as I'm sure everybody is. But, you know, I appreciate you getting linked up with us, and also, more importantly, being one of our founding customers. I mean, you were one of the first people that, you know, said, Kendall, I love what you're doing. Like, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but let's take a shot and see what happens. So
yeah, I think I remember that. We were texting. I was laying on my living room floor like 10 o'clock at night, and you said, hey, Lawnbot, I got this thing I'm launching. You should check it out. I'm like, Lawnbot, and tell me about it. And we were texting. I'm like, that sounds really awesome. Like, that's going to be an industry changer, you know? And I started Googling lawnbot.com. I'm like, hey, there's pest. Hey man, you need to buy pestbot.com and homebot.com, roof.bot. And
we've been moving so quickly too. It's been amazing to see people adopt the product. I'm sure you've seen the product's changed in the last 8 months that it's even been live. Like when we went live, we didn't have the measuring tool we have now. And I think that's been a game changer, seeing these sales come in.
Same thing with the review bot too. I mean, to double your reviews, I think that's been probably one of the best things that's helped us grow this year. Is just the reviews, because people just Google a lawn care company near them, and then they see, well, this guy has 2 reviews and 10 reviews, and whoa, this guy's got 150. I mean, it's just huge. We get, you know, every customer that calls in, we ask where they got our phone number, and so they just say, oh, I just Googled you, and you had the highest reviews, so I called you.
Yeah.
That's all you just had the highest. They didn't read reviews. They just saw we had the highest.
Well, it's super interesting. How much did you pay for that lead besides effort to get the reviews? And
exactly. You know, inbound marketing.
I mean, people look at reviews. I think that's how people shop these days. But tell me, before you became the king of Best Lawn Care. Tell me about your background. Like, how did you get into the industry? Where did you come from? Why did you pick lawn care? And why a fertilizing company or a chemical company rather than trying to be, sell every line of service? I think folks would like to hear that.
Yeah, my dad owned his own company growing up, so I was kind of around. He never had employees or anything like that, but he had his own company. I really liked that fact of owning my own company, so that's what I wanted to do. Didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went to college, sitting in business class, and I remember, and I tell this story a lot, where I'm sitting in class. It's cold. We're studying something. I really didn't want to be studying it. I wanted to be outside. The sun was shining and wanted to be outside doing something, sweating. And I see this little guy go by on a mower, through the window. And he goes back, man, I want to be outside. Yeah. So I think I'm a classic start to the industry, how everybody says, you just go buy a mower and start mowing grass. And that's what I did. My dad, co-signed me to buy a little mower. I had to pay for every single thing, insurance, fuel, parts, everything. And we started mowing lawns, and then customers are like, well, do you mulch? I'm like, well, sure, I'll mulch. And I figured it out, Googled it, you prune. Yeah, I prune bushes. And next thing I know, we've got 3 mowing crews, and we're doing everything, snow plow, anything outside, we were doing it, related to the green industry. But I really liked the fertilizing side of it, because I don't want to say I'm a chemistry geek, but I kind of am. So I kind of like that side of the business. And that's what we were getting really good at, was doing products and spraying weeds and different, products and things like that. So.
Just to go down that path a little bit, you kind of mix your own stuff, don't you? Like when it comes to some of the fertility of the soil. I thought that was fascinating.
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit of that. We do a little bit of mixing of our own, kind of rolling in our own, on some fertilizers and humics, things like that. But
okay. So it all started when, you saw the guy buzzing by on a mower. You started out doing the mowing and the mulching. How did you conceive the idea of Best Lawn Care? And then furthermore, when did you actually make the transition from being full service to really honing down on one thing?
I remember me and my dad were trying to think of a name when I first started mowing, and that's he said, why don't you just call it the Best Lawn? I said, well, Best Lawn, yeah, that sounds good. And that's how we came up with the name, and
fair enough.
We just kept it that way, simple. It's a B. So back then we had the yellow pages. Remember those things?
Yes. Yeah. I'm very I was fortunate enough. I'm 29. So I grew up in that transition period where like yellow pages was still a thing, but then Google was starting to pick up. And like, what's really crazy is like our kids won't even know what yellow pages are. Like that's to me.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. 29.
My wife asked, she's like, what is he, like 34? I'm like, yeah, 34. He's young, And so I'll let her know you're 29.
You start juicing.
Right. But yeah, that it transitioned to where we were just doing lots of mowing. I wanted to move into the treatment side of the business, so I had to build up that side of the business enough to support me if I sold the mowing and landscaping. So we did that, and switched over to just doing the treatment sides about 6 years ago. I think six years ago. But in that time, there was a rough period in our life because we sold the business. So we had a good chunk of change in the bank where we were going to, put it all in marketing and grow the FERT side. And we ended up getting a business partner. That was a bad deal. Ended up costing us, it lasted about six or 8 months. It costed lots of money. We were $80,000, $90,000 in the hole and coming out of that. So, everybody looks at companies and they think, oh, these guys are so great and they got it easy. And every company, every person's got
totally
something that they've overcome, and that's what makes us who we are. But so it took us a couple years to kind of get out of that. Literally just about 2 years ago, we were kind of getting freed up from that. So like the last 2 to 3 years, we've really finally been able to put some money in marketing. We learn more, we're reading lots of books, getting involved with the industry and so forth. And so the last 2 to 3 years, we've really been able to, grow and acquire customers and keep them, so it's been good.
Yeah. So tell me about that growth. I mean, so when you started Best Lawn Care, you probably didn't start at zero, right? Because you converted some of those mowing customers to.
Yeah, when we sold that, we kept all of our fertilizing accounts.
Okay.
And,
so how many customers were you at that point?
It was about 350.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about a one truck, probably chemical company at that point.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Where are you sitting at today, like customer count wise?
I think we're right about 1,200.
Okay.
1,200, 1,300, something like that.
So obviously that's awesome growth. I mean, 300 to 1,200 in a relatively short amount of time. When you look how fast technology changes, that's a tremendously short amount of time to grow your company. And it's all organic, bootstrapped growth. Like you did, from my discussions with you, you didn't go raise a bunch of funding or, this is all low cost per sale, low cost per lead marketing that, you grew your business with. Along that lines, I mean, with the growth, everything that's happened with you, I mean, what's some of the best channels that you found when you were at 300 customers and you were like, wow, I want to go from 300 to 600. Like, what's your next steps? What did that look like?
Yeah, for this first couple of years, it was a little tough. We were only adding maybe 100 customers, 150 customers every year. And then you have 20, 30 customers that would cancel. So it was a little rough those first 3 years, but we tried a lot of different things. And back then, 5, 6 years ago, the inbound marketing wasn't such a big thing. It was more direct mail, send your letters, send your postcards, have a website, be there, but it wasn't like the marketing is today. So we tried, a lot of those mailings, and it was rough because you spend all that money right in, January, February to get those springtime customers. And then after, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they're gone. Like right. that mailing is gone. It's in the trash, so how many customers you got off that mailing, and it was just very little. But we got a few, but the last 3 years, it's really been just inbound marketing. I don't send out any more postcards, no, EDDMs. We've done hundreds of thousands of those.
Yeah.
And they just, in our market, they don't work. Other markets, might be a different story, but
it's a numbers game with that. Everybody I talk to that has success with it, they say, hey, we know if we spend 50 grand, we're going to get a 1% or a 0.5% response rate, which equates to these many customers. But I don't know if it's a strength or a weakness, but when I was growing Lawn Doctor, we didn't have money, right, to spend on 50 grand to throw at a direct mail campaign. And that was some advice I got from other franchisee owners. They said, go take out a big line of credit and run a direct mail campaign. Like how is that good advice? We didn't do that, by the way. What we did is we found other creative marketing channels that other people weren't playing in. So like Facebook ads, for example, they were spending hundreds of dollars to generate leads, and we were generating leads for $2 to $5 per lead. And we were doing it really successfully. So much so, I mean, last year we generated over 900 Facebook leads, and that's pretty good when you size it up versus direct mail. For just, that one branch. So it was a huge source of new customers for us. And there's some interesting new channels. I haven't talked to you about it. I'm sure you've been watching them as well. We're thinking about doing a whole episode called basically going over Nextdoor. I think Nextdoor is going to be the next frontier for low cost per sale leads. Facebook's starting to get a little bit expensive. Nextdoor has some promise. There's lots of what's really interesting about them is they have lots of users coming over to their platform. I think that has something to do with the political environment of Facebook. People not wanting to be involved in politics on Facebook, so they're looking for somewhere else to communicate with their community, their micro community, their neighborhoods. A lot of times that's the groups on Facebook, but I think a lot of why you're seeing so much Nextdoor growth is people don't want to have the political things happening, but that's amazing. So direct mail, initially it sounds like that's how you got the truck out of the mud and got the growth going from there. You're growing your company. What are some other channels that you guys swear by every year? No matter what, the budget has to go towards that channel.
The main one is going to be just good work, good quality work, training your guys to do good quality work. making yards look good. If you make yards green and weed free,
yeah,
customers are gonna be happy. They'll refer their friends. So the referrals of existing customers, that's been really big. The last 2 years have been Google ads. We did a lot of those last year. That worked really well. Expensive, very expensive. Our cost per customer was between $80 and $120, something like that.
Cost per sale or
cost per sale, yeah.
Okay.
Not lead per actual sale.
You're spending $100 or more to acquire that customer.
Yep. You got to keep them for 2 years at least to break even.
Yeah. Very expensive, especially when you're competing with True Green for clicks in most parts of the country.
Yeah. And then this year we were going to do more Google ads with the virus and everything. We were a little leery, so we held off just to wait a little bit and see how that was going to go.
Yeah.
And then a great friend of mine, awesome guy, helped me set up some Facebook ads and just killed it. Just really killed it. And
who was that?
Really good.
Who's that?
I don't know. Got a white shirt on, says Lawnbot.
Yeah. So what's super interesting is we just wanted people. We knew that Facebook ads worked, and I because I did them in my old other business, and they produce a low cost per lead and cost per sale. And initially, with Lawnbot doesn't make the phone ring. It doesn't make people go to your website. Currently, we have some ideas around how to do that, but what we do know, we understand how to generate leads, and the new way, not the old way of sending out a direct mail campaign. There's lots of people that do that, and they're great at that. That's not what you'll get working with us. We think there's a better way, a modern way, and that's to compete in these digital environments like Facebook, Nextdoor, these sales channels that the large companies, billions of dollars in revenue, they're not competing in that space. And if they are, they're not going all in. I mean, we live in a condo, and my wife, Masha, she gets mail from True Green. So think about if we're getting mail from True Green, think about how much money they're just throwing down the drain with people that are never going to buy their services. She gets pissed at me too, because I like to mystery shop everybody and just see their sales process. I use her phone number. And True Green is just blowing her shit up.
Oh,
hey,
man.
It's Trudy with True Green. You ready to buy lawn care? It's just hilarious. That's awesome. So tell me about your sales numbers this year. Yeah, we had a fascinating conversation before we hopped on. Oh, we have a comment in from Wayne Brockman. Great to see you, Ben. Great guy and crushing it. Wayne Brockman.
What's up, Brock?
New York. So Wayne's an interesting case. So in New York, they have very strict laws around contracts. So they need imagine if you had to get a signed contract for every sale. So this year you had how many sales?
We had 729 new customers, not sales. Sales were higher, 1,800 or something, but actual just customer 727.
Because you're probably selling more than one thing to most people,
right? Yeah,
they're buying the fur program, they're buying mosquito, they're buying aeration, most likely. Yep. So individual addresses is how I like to think of it.
Right. Yep.
And how many of the year before in 2018?
I think we were the year before we were like 350, somewhere around there. New customers.
I'm kind of building the stage here to segue into my main point. So last year you sold somewhere around 400 or 500 new addresses, new customers. This year it's somewhere around 7. I think you're going to end the year probably around 800. Aeration.
We're averaging 6 to 7 Lawnbot leads every day, and we're selling at least half of them. So we're averaging 3 to 5 sales every day, constantly the whole year.
So with that growth, keep in mind here, folks, we're currently in a global pandemic. Some people would say. Now, much of the country was shut down in the spring, especially in Michigan. Not so much where you are, correct? You guys didn't get really.
It's a little bit. St. Louis is a little more lax, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. So it wasn't as bad as Michigan, where literally You couldn't go out and service your customers. So you were still able to go out and get those pre-emergents down most likely and start the season. Tell me why I'm still trying to figure this out. And I want to ask smart people like yourself, why during a global pandemic, and this isn't just your company, this is every company I talk to in the green industry, their sales are up this year during a global pandemic. Why do you think that is?
I was listening to a couple podcasts back in March, around that time when we were getting ready to do our Google ads. And that's when I kind of decided to hold the Google ads, because I saw some statistics that like Facebook, like traffic was just sky high because everybody's home. So everybody's, when they're home, they're on Facebook usually. And if they're stuck at home, they're probably getting outside a little bit, walking around their yard, seeing weeds in their yard. Like, hey, I should probably call somebody. And so that's also a benefit to why we wanted to go with more Facebook ads and just, start hammering those Facebook ads, because everybody's at home on Facebook, and it worked.
Like, what are they doing? They're sitting in their chair at night, scrolling through Facebook, and they're like, oh, there's an ad. And we try to make it, the thing I love about Facebook is it's a frictionless experience. So they don't have to go hit your landing page. It's all done within Facebook. Because you think about the Facebook, they already have all the user's information, name, address, phone number, email, probably their best contact info as well in most cases. And if a lot of people, and here's the thing, a lot of people like to hate on Facebook ads because they've boosted a post before, and we didn't boost a post with you. What we did, it was a very segmented process, right? So you sent me your active customer list. We uploaded that active customer list to Facebook. We said, Facebook, let's go find all of people on Facebook that look like my current customers. We call that a lookalike audience. We then take that lookalike audience, take all of your zip codes, and then say, only show my ads to these people that look like my current customer base and are in these zip codes. Really the most, Joe Cusick likes to talk about the shotgun and the scalpel. I can't think of a better scalpel than lookalike ads on Facebook.
Yep.
We take that data, we do your content, we get a flashy before and after picture. And I mean, I would have to go back and look at the exact numbers, but I think you're somewhere between the $4 to $10 cost per lead on Facebook this year. So it's going to be fun to break down all of the exact numbers. But so, okay, Corona, your sales doubled this year, really, with acquiring new customers during Corona. We think it's because people are at home, they're in their lawns, they're walking around, and in your case, you pivoted to more of a direct channel for ads, serving it up within their Facebook feed. Yeah,
they just see those dandelions, clover, and they're like, they can't kill them, so they try to find somebody that does, and we're right there. So
yeah, so super exciting to hear. What's the biggest problems you have in your business right now? I mean, you have 1,200 customers. You always think like you're trying to find that promised land where there's no problems, and we all have problems in our companies and in our businesses, and it's so interesting. In the lawn care company I ran, we had a saying, and it was new problems are good problems, right? Like you don't want to continue to have the same continuous old problems. That means you're not fixing anything. You're not learning. You're not growing. So what problems, do you have in your business right now? I'd love to hear from you.
I think it's probably same across the board with a lot of people, just the labor market, finding good guys with the whole virus and shutdown and everything. I think it was pretty tough to find some good quality people. And we have a great team right now, probably the best team we've ever had. And so we've just done really good at attracting the right people and filtering through and getting the really good people. And we've got a great team. But I think that's probably one of the hardest parts right now. I mean, we're still needing, 2 or 3 more people, and we've been looking for a little bit. And so that's been probably the biggest challenge. But other than that, once you get them, just running them through training, and that's what this whiteboard behind me here is.
Tell me about that whiteboard. First of all, where did you get it? Awesome story about that. Great pro tip for people watching.
So that is constantly changing. We put up, that's basically our training. So we have a
Don't
training
show
goal.
too much of it, right? That's the secret sauce. We don't want
Well, it is what it is, but we're putting all that into a training platform that all the guys have on their phones, and we're building that in there, and so it's constantly changing. We're adding, and so, I mean, training's huge. You got to have that, especially if you're going to grow and grow fast. Look at McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. I don't go into Chick-fil-A a lot. My wife goes like once a week, but when I'm in there, I never see the same teenager twice.
Yeah.
Right. They're constantly changing out teenagers, but your sandwich is always the same. Right. So they have processes and training. And so that's what we're just trying to build here for lawns, and treatments. And
it sounds like you're trying to scale.
Absolutely. We want to, our goal is to add, 500 to 800 customers every year. That's a good, heavy, steady growth. I don't want to, if you try to grow and add 2,000 customers in a year, you're going to run into major growth problems with you can't take somebody that had, 35 yards and give them 800. They're not going to know what to do with them, So I think a good heavy growth at that for us right now is where we're at. But as we, get this training done and get the systems in place for faster growth, we can scale it up faster than that.
It sounds like you're building the rocket in the perfect way. You're going to have so much capacity with all these training systems and processes built that when you want to pull that lever of growth and add $1 million in revenue in one season, which is totally possible.
Sure.
If you spend enough on marketing and have a sales team and you're banging the phones and you're just out there we have plenty of customers that sell millions of dollars a year in new sales every year. You're going to have a foundation to do that. A perfect foundation.
A good a mentor of mine, a local guy. He's just a great guy. I've known him for 15, 20 years, and his company's around 35, 40 million, something like that. And about 5 or 6 years ago, we were at breakfast and he said, "Hey, just get your training done. Like, do your training first, get that out of the way, and work on it, but do it first. Because when you start growing, you don't have time and you're not going to have time to build that training stuff. And then you're stuck." So.
And from my experience, I'm more sales and marketing focused and probably why my brother owns our lawn care company. We sold it to him. He's the ops guy. And I focus on growth and sales first. And if I could have went back and did it all over again, I would have put more time into the training and the systems before scaling up growth. Because in my mind, let's hire sales guys. Let's start calling people. Let's just frickin' add 2,000 addresses in a year. And then money solves all problems. Well, it's also a very painful process when you have turnover of employees because your training systems aren't there. So it's very expensive very quickly. And in this business, it's almost a fine dance, right? In the spring, in the power window of spring, that's where we make most of our sales. So you got to get in that power window.
Oh yeah.
And then also you got to be able to manage your cash flow throughout the year properly, so that you're not overpaying on labor. So you got to know. You got to know when to cut heads, not literally, but like lay off people at the right time of the year. Hire staff heavy in the spring, and then slowly lay off people throughout the year. If you're pushing high growth numbers like that. We have a comment in from Brandon Willis, who's also a new Lawnbot customer. Shout out, Brendan. Are you guys generating the actual leads on Facebook or directing them to your website using UTM for tracking? So what we recommend is to run lead generation campaigns inside of Facebook. So that does not mean having a landing page on your website. We think, my belief is, and there's lots of opinions on this, we don't want them to leave the Facebook platform. We want the lead to be generated within the Facebook platform. And after that lead information is sent to you and that client is, we direct them to Lawnbot. So a good way to think of this is clients scrolling through Facebook, when the buttons are there, they click on get quote. The lead form pops up in Facebook. All of their information is already in that lead form within Facebook. And they click submit. That data goes to Ben in case they don't actually go to his website or go to Lawnbot. And then from there, that lead can actually land right on Lawnbot from within Facebook. So a lot of people, how they run their campaigns on Facebook, and then they say it's a shitty lead source, is they run click campaigns, or they run just a general traffic campaign to a website. It's really hard to measure how well it's doing. I like to measure it. We can log into Ben's ad account right now and go look at, hey, he generated 750 leads this year, and it was the cost per lead of this, and here was our content. That's the ultimate tracking. I spent $5,000 on ads and generated 700 leads. So now next year he can say, well, if I up that spend to 10,000, in theory, he can double his return on leads there. And
I remember looking in on the Facebook dashboard too, in the kind of springtime, summertime, when it was going really good.
Yeah.
And that cost per lead was down to like $3 something. It was pretty low.
And it's one of those things I think of, we talk about the power window in spring. Like there's a time to spend money on marketing in lawn care. And depending on the part of the country you're in, there's that power window of spring. When's that power window for you guys in St. Louis?
For us, it's pretty much March through May-ish, April. Yeah, about May. It kind of slows down about end of May.
And that's kind of what we recommend too, is to turn off. You want to spend a lot. So the budgets that we recommend on Facebook for folks, if you're going to run a lead gen campaign, and by the way, if you're on YouTube, go subscribe to our channel. We have a great free video on how to set up a lead gen campaign. You can do it yourself. Or if you're a Lawnbot client, we actually do it for you right now. We might offer it as a service at some point, but right now we just want our customers to be successful. So it takes time to set up this campaign and to do it correctly. But it pays off as well. So what we recommend from a timeline window, depending on the part of the country you're in, is to run them from March and shut them off in May. And if you want to continue them, switch it over to more of a trigger-based service like Mosquito. Switch the content up to running Mosquito lead generation campaigns. Then obviously, once the fall hits, you could switch it over to aeration and overseeding. That's what we've seen a lot of success with. So we're getting close here. We like to keep these to 30 minutes. We're at 32 minutes here. Now, here's one question I like to leave everybody with and ask everybody that comes on Lawnbot Live. I think this is going to be our question that we're going to ask everybody that comes on the show, that advice you'd give to yourself if you had 0 customers today, you're starting from scratch today. Would you start a lawn care company? Would you start in mowing and then try to get into the chemical verticals? Would you start a mosquito company? Like, if you had to start all over from scratch, it sounds like you had a partnership go bad. Maybe that's advice number 1. You want to do that initial partnership. If you're starting over from scratch today, 0 customers, what is your golden nugget of advice that you'd give to folks?
I would get advice too. Look at your peers and mentors and get their advice. I have to, say I did that, and then I ignored their advice. Had dinner with Joe Cusick before I did that deal, and he said, "Ben, you don't need a partner. You don't need a partner. You can do this by yourself. You can do it on your own." I said, "Okay, Joe, thanks." I did it anyway, and that was a humbling phone call to have to call him after the fact that I got burned and be like, "Joe, you were right, man. I'm so sorry." And I, he's a great guy, and he's been a good mentor and everything. And so don't have a partner. You don't really need it in this kind of industry, a service business. That's what we're in. So I think I would get into some sort of the kind of customer service type outdoor industry. So yeah, pest control, lawn care. It's what I know. It's what I know how to build. I'm learning more and more every day about these kinds of businesses. So I would probably still do something in the green industry.
And why not? Why wouldn't you do mowing? I know that obviously. Why wouldn't you offer that? We're not anti-mowing by any means. We have plenty of customers that offer the service, but I'm just curious why, in your experience, you guys got rid of it and focused just on chemical.
I think at that time I had just gotten burnt out on it. But I've met quite a few people that do mowing. Mowing would be something, I could get back into. If it's done properly, like, you can make a lot of money at it. I know a guy that does, he does mowing only, and he's like $6 million a year and just mowing only. That's all he does. But
Love that.
he's got the systems in place: credit card charge, day of service. Small trucks, small mowers, one-man crew. They don't mow anything bigger than 8,000. There's all the little.
Well, here's what I flirted with, Ben, is like your customer list, 1,200 customers. Imagine 30% of those people bought that service because, right, you have a list, right? And I assume somebody's doing it, right? They're hiring another company or they might be doing it themselves. If you could extract margin out of those 1,200, like how many would sign up for mowing? I've always flirted with that. And us in the North, we talk about snow plowing. We're like, okay, I have 5,000 lawn clients. What if I just whip up a snow plowing division really quick and I get 800 driveways at $300 a driveway? That's X amount of dollars in revenue. Things get really interesting as your customer gets bigger.
Oh yeah, they do.
You're even working in some new businesses as well that are in the green industry. They're not in the green industry, but it's cool to see things transform and morph over time.
We're working on it. We'll talk about that on the next live.
Yeah, the next episode we have a little bit more to share on that. So, Ben, thanks for coming on the show today. I think you've given anybody watching tons of value, and congrats to you on your success. Thank you for being successful. Successful people like yourself set a good example for everybody else getting into the business. And as always, I would say if you're watching, if you come across this content, you have questions for Ben, don't hesitate to reach out. Add him on Facebook. Reach out to him. Reach up in relationships. If he has 1,200 customers and you're sitting at 100 customers and you want to know how he got to 1,200, reach out to him and say, hey, I would love to find out. I'd love to buy you lunch or coffee or whatever and pick your brain for 30 minutes. I know that plenty of people did that with me when I was growing my lawn care franchise. And I try to do it, with Lawnbot, and I know that you do it with many people as well.
Sure. Absolutely. Yep.
So thanks for being on the show, Lawnbot Live, 3rd episode. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Next week, we have on Beth Berry with Real Green Systems. She's got some good stuff to bring.
Like Beth. Oh yeah. She's awesome.
She's got some stuff that they've been working on. As you know, Ben, we are a strategic partner with Real Green Systems, meaning we have a full integration into their software. She's got some new nuggets that she's excited to talk about, some new products that Real Green's rolling out, and then also some new systems in place. So
cool.
One quick thing before we sign off, looks like Wayne just commented. Wayne just said, we do both, but plowing controls the equipment. You have to have mowing is a ton of labor. Absolutely. I would have to agree with all of that. I think you guys are probably one of the companies that do it exceptionally well. I go to your website and it's like, I can buy everything from you guys. And I think that's one thing that you guys probably try to provide is that one-stop shop, but you also sell a shitload of lawn care too. You guys sell a lot of fertilizing and weed control, and your bot performed really well this year. We're really happy with how it performed out there in New York. So with that, we're getting on time here. Ben, I hope you have a great day. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to Lawnbot Live. We'll see you next week with Beth Berry. And we look forward to bringing you more great talent and business owners like Ben. So next week at noon, tune in. Make sure you subscribe to the Lawnbot page. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you then.
See you guys.